are copywriting and technical writing. So I don't know if there's any number of us that have morphed from copywriting to that or is intending to morph from copywriting to UX writing. Anyone? Okay.
Hi. Hi,
Okay. Yeah.
Shamaka. Okay, yeah, this is someone moving from like journalism to US writing.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Anyway, I don't really know much about journalism, so well, I did it in light with the writing fields conversation to it.
Okay.
Okay, so we're starting with UX writing versus copywriting. Now, copywriting is salesmanship in print. That's a simple summary for what it is. That is writing a copy to either sell a brand or persuade a customer to take an action, but in light of getting the brand to get profits. So that's using words to persuade people to take a kind of action, either by clicking an ad or purchasing a product. Meaning the main aim or the end product of copywriting is usually sales for the brand. There are different kinds of copywriting. They can be promotional materials like ads, newsletters. They can be captions on Instagram, tweets, anything that is trying to sell a product to a customer, which the end product of getting perfect for the brand that is being sold. Copywriting aims to excite, intrigue, surprise, and move the reader. Let's keep you engaged till the end so that you can click on that button and get that product. Moving to how copywriting can relate to UX writing. What's the difference between the two? That's copywriting and UX writing. For me personally, I won't really say there is an extreme difference because copywriting can be used in avenues like websites, headline copies on landing pages, subjects on emails, anything to keep or catch the attention of the reader or the user. So to me, it actually overlaps, but for professional reasons, they like to separate it more because copywriting is more in the light of marketing, while UX writing is in the line of products. So let me know if you're following me. I might not be able to see the chat section because I'm sharing my screen. So in case you have anything to say. Can't even show me down. This is really stressful. Okay. So, for the diagram I have, for copywriters, as I said, they use very persuasive, sexy words to attract the customer. UX writers are to use simple, concise, and easy to understand words. Copywriting is sales oriented. UX writing is product oriented. More like copywriting allows you to click, get the product. UX writing goes way beyond getting the product. It helps you understand the product and guides you in using the product. Copywriters, they work with marketers, as I said, as they are in the marketing team. UX writers work with products, designers, product managers. Copywriting tells story. UX writers shares conversions. Copywriters can work alone. UX writers can't work alone. Now, as I said before, this is a summary that they put online to highlight differences. But personally, I do not feel like it's a black or white situation. I feel like there are gray areas in all of this, which I'm highlighting now. Now, as I said before, copywriting helps with businesses and UX writing helps with customers. However, as I said, they overlap. So the gray area is a good copywriting can also benefit the customer. if you actually put in a caption well on Instagram, it can tell way more than the brand benefits of a product. It can help the user understand what the product will or what they will gain from that product, just like a UX copy would. UX writing also helps the business, not only copywriting, because if you guide the user, help them understand the product, help them with the flow to the end, there's a high chance they would definitely come back to use that product again or even refer people, which in line helps the business. So let's take the second difference. Is everyone following me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Let's take the second difference. UX writing is for existing users, not customers. Now the gray area there is, let's take website. When you write a copy on a website, like the hero copy or a landing page, you might not necessarily be speaking to existing users, or like how we've been groomed to understand when UX copies are just for like micro copies on websites, when you've already signed up, what is giving you in-app prompts and all of that, and it's copywriting that draws in the customers. UX writing can also draw in the customers. That's where it overlaps with copywriting. Having the skill of both helps you create content that can draw in customers and keep them. For the third one, UX writing is technical, not creative. I would also not specifically say that because UX writing, yes, it is. You have to be familiar with the technical part of the product so that you can break it down for the customer or the user. However, if you're not creative, you will sound very robotic and you won't be able to relate with the user on an empathetic note or on a very basic level where they can flow with you and understand the product you want them to use. So, as much as UX writing is to be technical and copywriting per se, people believe it's supposed to be witty and creative, UX writing can also be creative. For the fourth disparity, UX writers don't tell stories. Now, for the last class I had, I told you for you to have a very good UX content or content design, there should be a flow. So if once you say copywriting tells stories, UX writing doesn't tell story just because it's a micro copy, it's a concise copy that's supposed to tell you what to do, you would lose a customer from the first page to the next page. But having the skill and understanding where the flow of storytelling in content creation can help you in UX writing, it helps to keep the customer from each page so they know this is what I did in the first page. This is why I'm clicking this CTA to go to the next page. This is what I will gain from the next page. So UX writers also tell stories and also use the skill of story writing. The popular saying in UX writing is microcopy. The gray area for this to me, copywriting also uses microcopies, like in call to actions, like CTA buttons, sell now, learn more, get started. There are also things you can put in captions for Instagrams or even your landing pages. Those can also be used in copywriting as well as UX writing. So they're not completely different, they overlap. Copywriting is about marketing, not user experience. The gray area for me, good copywriters always consider the audience's experience. Now, people believe that copywriters are just embodying the brand. You can't sell to people you do not understand. So even if in UX writing we are to put ourselves in the shoes of the user, copywriters also do that to understand the who they are speaking to. Same way UX writers do when you are being empathetic in your copies. Copywriters try to make readers take a specific action. UX writing also helps to make users take a specific action, a required action on each page, on each copy. That's why there's even A/B testing. So when you try one, doesn't work, you try another one, but it's very tailored, just the same way your copywriting is tailored. And for the final disparity, copywriters work alone, UX writers work in teams. UX writers engage with more team and do more so often, but copywriters do also work with teams. Because for a good copy, when it comes to copywriting to come to light, you have to either banter with people, share ideas, and groom that idea into different copies. A good brand copy can't necessarily come from just one mind, just the same way a good US copy has to embody both the idea of the product manager, the idea of the designer, the idea how the front-end person is going to interpret it in the design when it's being coded. Everyone needs to collaborate, and even customer care, so that they can also solve the issues that the customers might have in the future. Now, that's why I say they overlap. But in a professional sense, most people believe it is necessary to distinguish between UX writers and copywriters so that you can be able to either, this is my job description, this is my pay, things like that. Well, I feel understanding each of them, you don't necessarily have to be a copywriter to be a UX writer, but understanding the skill can help you better navigate UX writing and putting more thought into your content or your copy production. Just the same way understanding design can help you know how to arrange your characters well on flow of a design. Any question? Okay, I don't think so. So, but if we're going to differentiate, we just say copywriting is for marketing materials, UX writing for digital use. However, understanding where they overlap can actually be of great advantage to you. So before I go to the next one, any question? I don't like this thing that I cannot
No
open.
questions.
No questions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move to UX writing versus technical writing. Now, to me, technical writing and UX writing actually intertwines way more than copywriting. I would say technical writing it's more like UX writing but with big English. So it focuses on the heavy duty documentations of products. So where UX writing is trying to break down the product into very concise, simple copy for the user to use in the interface, technical writers are trying to also break down those things, but in a way that they are answering the more technical parts, not the just in-app prompts or CTAs or guides on the interface. They go way beyond that to create documentations for compliance, to create FAQs for customer care, instruction manuals for the product. So the user can have the instruction manual and you have the in-app prompts from the UX writer on the interface. In case you want to use the manual, that's available to you. If you want the guide that's already on the website, the app, or the web app, that's available to you. Technical writers work with internal teams to understand the product's requirements, like how to implement it through UI, text, or online, and help or develop guides and tutorials to enable beginners navigate their way around the application with ease. So as the same way UX writers are creating a flow and a guide in the platform itself, technical writers are creating more like I don't want to call it offline, but a manual that is working in hand with the interface guide so that the users can understand it. So when you open the website and you click on how does it work, FAQs, how can I do this, that, those very, I don't want to call it rigid, but straight to point instructions of how to navigate the website are done by your technical writers. But that's not all they do. It usually goes way more than that. UX writers can also do that if you have a good knowledge of how to break it down for the user, how to break down technical parts of the product for the user. That's why I said the skills overlap. Now, the duties of a tech writer are researching and writing, editing, and revising content that is both engaging, accessible to user, both technical and non-technical background. As I said, breaking the product into a very simple, easy to understand manual. Designing and establishing style guidelines for text to meet business requirements. Remember, UX writers also create content style guides. So as I said, the skills are very much alike. Creating technical documentation in form of instruction manuals, API developer guides, configuration instructions, in-platform instructions, and system operations. Producing client resources and educational materials like demonstrations, tutorials, how-tos, writing content in compliance with the company's established standards and guidelines. Working with internal teams or other stakeholders for a detailed understanding of the product documentation requirements. So more like they even work with legal teams to create like rules that you are about to abide to when you're using the platform. Providing writing, editing support for other team, for other team members for consistency and updating content with current information. UX writers also do that. As I said, skills overlap. So, as I said before, if you look at the responsibilities and what a UX writer does, you can see that it's almost like what the UX writer would do, but with a longer English. So, what's the difference? A tech writer, their audience is usually technical. Compliance, API generation, understanding, legal. Why UX writers, we focus on the user interface of websites and app. Technical writers tend to work with large HW/W projects. Why UX writers work with small components. So more like big manuals, but UX writers are microcopy. Tech writers typically concentrates on how to produce these user manuals, user guides, programming guides. Why UX writers focus on how to work copies, buttons, error messages. Tech writers typically are part of the engineering development, that is hardware and software. As I said, they break down the product, the technical part of it. Why UX writers are usually, they actually are part of the whole product team, but it's more like a design, user-facing aspect. Tech writers formulate procedural steps, and they gravitate towards order, structure, hierarchy. As I said, I wouldn't want to call them rigid, but yeah, they give the more rigid order to the guide that you're given. So it's like, take the steps, you get this. Take the steps, you get this. So they might not be as empathetic as a UX writer would be, because the UX writer will have to be more empathetic maybe when a customer gets an error message, or a customer doesn't understand what this button is about to click on, is taking him or her to. tech writers focus on ensuring the accuracy of the content, while UX writers, they avoid complex vocabularies and they make the messaging as simple as possible. Now, where they overlap, they both love products, software, and design. They love writing and the ability to impact end users and avoid abundance of endless curiosity because you have to constantly research, whether you're a tech writer, even a copywriter, UX writer. Every form of writing requires constant research, constant understanding of how words are being interpreted now and what they mean to people. Has empathy for the end user, ability to interpret with interact with SMEs, ability to pinpoint the target user. Now, why both roles will differ, there's a lot of overlap between UX writing and technical writing, as I said before. Besides having the ability to interact with small and medium enterprises, both of them enjoy product design, creating a guide for the end user, solving a problem for the end user, making sure the end user enjoys the products that they are getting. So yes, UX writing does that in a very brief and concise way, and technical writing does that in a more rigid, manual form kind of way. Both of them are solving or creating a solution for the end user. Now, just before I summarize everything, does anyone have any question with UX writing versus technical writing? Any question?
No
Okay.
questions.
So finally, to summarize everything, there is a time and place for every discipline, whether you're a copywriter, UX writer, technical writer. One person can have an idea of every one of them, as I believe each of the skills can actually profit you in a way or the other, so that you can either collaborate well, even if it's not the title you're taking, or understand how to incorporate the skill in your own field. So yes, there's a time and place for each of the discipline, and there should be room for them so that one can focus on what they're actually good at. But all of this writing is important in your own way. Copywriting is here to get customers on board. UX writing guides them, and technical writing ensures that the quality of the product itself is being enjoyed by the customer. So I think that's the end of everything. Since we do not have a question.
Hello, I have a question, but it's not related exactly with the presentation for today. My question is just more in relation with content, generally, with our project. So we're
I'm
working
sorry, a
on,
moment,
okay, no
Olivia.
problem.
Victoria, I will answer your question in a moment. Olivia, you can continue.
Oh, okay. So my question is, with the, we're trying to work on our site map together with the UX team. And we're trying to create some copies for each page, that's the home page and things like that. So what I wanted to ask is, at this point in time where we're just trying to, in a way, create sort of a low fidelity design, do we have to have the copies um, exactly as they be, or just a general sort of idea?
Okay, no, you don't have to have it like a solid iteration now.
Okay.
For me, when I'm creating copy, I usually have three iterations to go. The first one to have the overview idea of what I'm working with. So I lay it out down, create a flow for what I'm going to work with so that I can have a picture of even what I'm researching for. break it down. This part, is this what best works for it? What emotion is this customer going to meet when they're coming to meet this copy? Am I am I creating a solution with this copy? What's the end emotion I'm trying to achieve with it? Always have at least 3 iterations for each layout, each copy, maybe a header copy or sub copy for each flow. Have 3. That way you have options of whether it is actually solving what you're writing for. It's the same way designers do too. They have their splash screens. I think that's what they call it. The first iteration and the second one, which one will work for it, or which icons best fit in the whole design. So the same thing should actually work in copy, because even after writing it now, it might work now. In the future, you still have to review it again. So when you're writing now, have at least 3 variations of the copy you want to write.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah. Do technical writers perform UX writing roles in some companies? Now, personally, I've never actually met a technical writer in person. I've only met UX writers that double as technical writers, not technical writers that double as UX writers. When you ask them what do they do, the first thing they tell you is I'm a UX writer, but they actually double as creating manuals, guides, FAQs, which is what a technical writer should do. So I feel, yeah, there should be places where technical writers will double as UX writers, but it will take more skills to actually break down something as complex as a rigid manual into a very concise, empathetic copy. But I feel if you can double as it. It's just like, yeah, before I forget, people that are morphing from copywriting to UX writing too, they usually have that battle creating copy that a user will understand and relate to for the in at an instant glance. For copywriting, it's more like you have to be witty, very creative, catch them so that they can know the brand, not necessarily solve the problem they might have. So most copywriters have to harness the skill of UX writing to be able to balance the two out so you don't sound very vague. So I feel like that might be the issue technical writers might have too. Same way UX writers might have the issue in creating very rigid and not being so overly concise when it comes to technical writing. As I said, understanding all of these skills can help, but know where it plays and at what point you should allow one play and let go of the other, even if you have the skill. What are the practical steps to collaboration and who are we to work closely with? That's as UX writers. Okay. Practical steps to collaboration. Always push for content to be important in every design flow. The first set of people you'll be collaborating with will definitely be designers. Most designers do not go with content first, they go with design first. It's not really a bad thing, although it would be better if it's content first, so that way your copy is not so restricted to the design, but it can still work since UX writing is supposed to be concise. Well, you're going to be collaborating with designers, product managers, customer care, even marketers. Because in design, definitely you're working with designers to put copy in the design, and developers too, if I forget those. Then for product managers, okay, I'm coming, Nini. For product managers, you're selling their idea of their product, so you have to actually understand their documentation and break it down to create that copy. For customer care, you have to tell them, teach them how this product works in line with the product manager, so that they can be able to solve user issues or customer backlash if there is any. This happens in like stakeholder meetings. But these are just, you just be giving your point of view, not necessarily that you're championing things like that. For marketers, you collaborate with them for like emails, onboarding emails, newsletters, how to's. So you have to be open to share your idea, understand this, and it will be easier for you to do so if you have embodied all of what the product should be and what the user is to gain from that product. Timmy, please let me know if I answered your question. Nimi, how do we actually carry out content first design? Now, there's a template online. I would have to find the link. There's a template online that has like a layout where you can break out each part of a platform. I'll use a website. Most websites that I've seen have at least 5 pages, at most 5 pages. So we have the home page, you have the product page, you have the carriers page, and probably if they want to do so much, get to know us, or maybe the product elongates way more than the product page, but it's usually 3 to 4 pages. Now you have a template as to each of the header copies, sub copies on each of these pages. The first homepage, what do you want to sell there? What's going to be the first thing the customer will see when they get to that page? Me, the first thing I usually feel is the first header, that's the headline, should be, this is what my brand can do for you. That's my own rule. So I am trying to solve a problem, but I have copywriting in my mind so that it's not just very experience a better way to trade. It has to be catchy. It has to be witty. So even if you're solving a problem, you're also keeping them, and then they start to scroll. When they scroll on that, you break down the products, break down the offerings that the brand has for them. Each of them a CTA button. Now, each of this copy has an emotion to it. You highlight the emotion the customer is to feel when you're reading each of this copy. Having written this in a template, you can now share the template with your designer. This are my copy for this page, next page, going forward. Do you have any questions? Can the characters work for you? Things like that. Some designers don't like to wait for that. They just like to start designing so that you can streamline your characters to their design. Sometimes it might not work. That's why I said you ask the designer that you're working with, so you know how you can collaborate with them. Nimi, did I answer the question? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I also have another question in relation to the kind of overlapping between UX
I can really
writing.
hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a question in relation to the overlap between UX writing, UX and copywriting. So, for
Okay.
instance, if you have a presentation of a product in the form of a case study, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
what are the teams that would really collaborate on that? I mean, okay, the UX writers would obviously do the in-app copies, but on the presentation itself, with the user personas and the user empathy, I know we would be involved in the process with the UX, but at the end of the day, would it be just the UX kind of text trying to say,
I'm not really sure. The presentation is being done to, for words to who?
okay, so you're doing a presentation in the form of a case study, like the normal design UI UX case studies, right? And you're
Okay.
doing a presentation to the um the company, to the stakeholders, right? and there's gonna be need for text explaining each screen
Yeah.
outside of the in-app copy,
Yes.
right? In that
Yes.
case, would it be the UX writers that are still gonna be involved in that, or would this part of the process be left to the UX team?
So, where I work, the person that does that presentation is usually the product manager. Now, everyone is involved in it, not just the UX team. Everyone is involved in the creation of the presentation, the copy, the layout, the research, the testing, the data, everyone is involved. But the person that actually presents at the end is the product manager. This is my product. This is how I've been able to break it down. These are the people that have worked on this. Now, if they would need further clarification, which I have not experienced because the product manager takes their time to understand every idea behind every implementation on that presentation so that there is no back and forth. So any question that has been asked, the person can answer it. At that point in time, the product manager is embodying the product they want to push out. So I've not seen where, unless it's like, so some people that have worked on products that don't necessarily have product managers there. So it's more like designers, UX writers collaborate, create a product or create a platform. Then they have people that can code it. But in that case scenario, I feel like it's a UX team that would come, but they would definitely have someone that would have like a representation to speak in line in that. Maybe the head of the UX team. Yeah.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So is there any other question? Okay, then. Think we have come to the end of everything. So the link to the notes I made is in chat section. Just in case anyone wants to reach out. I will try to get the link to the UX template I spoke about before the next class so that I can at least show, I think it was Nimi that asked that question. Yeah, so I can share it and show how you can create a layout you can share with the designer if you want to go content first. Okay.
Yes, that would be really perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So thank you for having me. Take care. Enjoy your day.
Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday as well. Thank you.